Hey guys, it's Hannah and welcome back to the Dyslexic Reader. Today I am so excited because I'm finally going to tell you guys what my TBR is for the Booktube-A-Thon 2018. If you don't know what the Booktube-A-Thon is, I'll link the channel down below, but basically it is a readathon. You don't have to be on Booktube to do it, but most people have Booktube channels and there is reading challenges, Instagram challenges and YouTube challenges every day, and basically the overall goal is to read as much as you can in a week, and the aim is kind of 7 books, so a book a day, as well as doing the challenges, and there's prizes and Twitter sprints and everyone just gets together and it's a great time. I participated for the first time last year and I did complete 7 books, so kind of 1 for 1, so I need to really try and accomplish it this year. My goal is to get my 7 books done for the 2nd year in a row. But I've got a lot of books, so let's just get started with the challenges. The first challenge is to let a coin toss decide your first read, and for this I have my 2 books. They're both little mini penguin classics, but I've got like a mini classic and then a modern classic. My classic is The Tinderbox by Hans Christian Andersen. I have seen the movie adaptation of this and loved it, but I've never read the original text, so I'm excited to see how this differs from the movie that I loved as a child. And then my modern classic is Why Do You Wear a Cheap Watch by Hans Fallada? That's pronounced wrong, I know it is, but that's what I'm going with. So one of these little mini classics is going to be my first read to kind of kick off the Booktube-A-Thon. It kicks off at midnight, so I'm hoping that I will get like one of these read before I go to bed, and then that's kind of my first book done. So I have my British pound coin and I am going to flick it and we'll say heads for the Tinderbox and tails for the modern classic. And we have heads, which was the Tinderbox. Did I even remember that correctly? So my first read for the Booktube-A-Thon is going to be The Tinderbox by Hans Christian Andersen. The second challenge is to read a book about something you want to do, and for that I picked The Last Block in Harlem by Christopher Hertz, and I have always wanted to go to New York. That's something I've always wanted to do, and I've planned it a couple of times, but it's very expensive and it's a long distance and it's cheaper but at weird times of the year that never seem to suit me, so I have never been, but it's something that I want to do. And this just seems to be about a guy who lives in Harlem and he kind of sits out on the fire escape of his flat and just kind of watches the passers-by, and it's very literary fiction and it's just kind of him describing it, and this fulfills the something I want to do for going to New York. The next challenge is to read a book of a movie. I don't think it matters if the book came first or the movie came first, but you have to read the book and then watch the movie. I've picked Jaws. Jaws is one of my all-time favourite movies. Sharks are like my biggest fear and yet one of my greatest fascinations. Like, I am so petrified and yet cannot stop watching movies and documentaries and reading about sharks. It's like, and yet I'm so scared of them. It's weird, but I love Jaws and I have never read the book. This is by Peter Benchley and I bought this last summer and was going to read it over the summer and for some reason didn't. I think it's a good read for summertime and I'm finally going to get this and watch Jaws, which I haven't done in a while, so I'm excited to do. For read a book with green on the cover, I have went for an extremely green cover. This is Shade Those Laurels, a novel by Cyril Connolly and Peter Levi. Now this was originally written by Cyril Connolly and it was serialized in the Encounter magazine. It seems to be kind of like a murder mystery kind of story. I don't know a lot about it, but it was serialized in the Encounter. But Cyril Connolly died before finishing it, and Peter Levi was writing about Cyril Connolly, came across this, thought it was a really good piece of work, and it was a shame that it was unknown because it wasn't published in full, because it wasn't ever finished. It was only ever serialized in a magazine and then the story was never finished because Cyril died. So Peter Levi goes and finishes the story. I think this will be really interesting to see how both writing styles tie together, how Peter thought that the mystery should be solved, who he thought the murderer was, because it was never solved. Cyril never wrote who the murderer was, he never got that far, so would Peter have came to the same conclusions I did, how the writing styles marry together. I think it'll just be very, very interesting, and it has a beautiful green cover. There's always a challenge in Booktube-A-Thon that centres around how you read the book rather than what you read, and this year it is to wear a hat for the entirety of a whole book. I have my favourite hat that I own, my MU hat. It is my favourite hat. I love this hat. I wear it all the time. I never wear hats in videos because it always like shades you and looks weird in videos, but I am quite a hat wearer in real life, and while wearing my hat I am going to read Seekers of the Weird. This is a Marvel, it was a comic, it was a 4-part I'm going to say, and then it was put like together in like kind of the graphic novel, and it is the Magic Kingdom's kind of tie-in. So this is a story that links into the Haunted Mansion, which I love, and it's about the Seekers of the Weird, which was originally there was going to be a museum of weird stuck onto the end of the Haunted Mansion. When you came off the ride you would walk through it and there would be all this like weird stuff from like all over the world, and there's some like original like concept art in here from like the Imagineers who were involved in the making of the Haunted Mansion. And then this story kind of centers around the Seekers of the Weird, so like the people who would have procured, that almost came out right, all the artifacts that would have been in there. And I have read this before, but it was years ago and I can't really, it kind of flew through it because I was so absorbed. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I didn't really appreciate it, I don't think, and I would like to read it again and get the full story. And the art style is really beautiful in this. So I'm going to read this and wear my hat. Our penultimate challenge is to read a book with a pretty spine, and I have picked Children of the Lamp by P.B. Kerr. Well, this is a beautiful book in general, but I think the spine is gorgeous. You can't really see it. It almost looks like a chest, like these are the hinges. And I don't know a lot about this. I got this for dirt cheap in a charity shop for literally like 20p or something a while ago, and I haven't got around to it yet. And I don't really know what it's about because there's no real synopsis apart from humans are made of earth, jinns are made of fire, which is like genies. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I really do have no idea what this is about, but I think it fulfills a beautiful spine. And the last challenge, as always, is to read 7 books within the week. If I didn't mention, this runs from the 30th of July through to the next week, which would be the 6th. Takes up the whole 7 days, and it starts midnight your time zone and ends, but I'll link all the videos down below that tells you about it. But for my 7th book, I've picked The Girl with the Pearl Earring by Tracy Chevalier. I just want to read this, and all these books tie in with the Newts read along that starts on the 1st, only a day after. So I've tied up a lot of my books in this TBR, links into the challenges for that month-long read along that goes through the whole of August. So this ties in with it. And it was just a 7th book that I'm really excited to get to, and it's kind of a fictionalised story about this painting and how it came about. So that is my 7 books for the Booktube-A-Thon 2018. If you have completed your TBR yet, please link it down below because I'm having a real good time watching how everyone interprets the challenges and what they're planning to read and how ambitious they're planning to go. I think I'm being pretty moderate with mine because, well, one of these is really short, not too long, children's book, not too long. This is probably my biggest one. This is a hardback, but it's not too long, and then a graphic novel. So I'm hoping, yes, to get one of these done like straight away before midnight, and then that kind of gives me a day's head start. This again will be read very quickly, so I've kind of got 7 days to read 5 books almost, so we'll see how it goes. I'm not vlogging this Booktube-A-Thon, but I am going to be filling up my Instagram stories. So my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter is all linked down below. Please go and follow me and stay in touch with my Goodreads as well. I'll be constantly updating throughout the week. I always start off at midnight at the start of a readathon and put all the books that I'm reading on. So like all 7 books will be in my currently reading, and then I'll kind of mark them off as I go along. Thanks for watching, you guys. I hope you're all happy, I hope you're all healthy, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.